Hey guys, how's it going? It's June 16th of 2023, and I'm going to do a video for those of you out there who may be considering upgrading your garage door rollers to either these DURA-LIFT Titan or these DURA-LIFT ULTRA-LIFE MAX nylon rollers. I'm going to be opening these boxes up and comparing these two models side by side and pointing out the key little differences between them. The main reason for this video is, for the most part, these DURA-LIFT rollers are not carried in your local stores. So if you want to check them out or look at them, you either pretty much have to order them yourself or you can just watch my video. Okay? So yeah, let's get to it, guys. Now, first off, I want to point out there's not a lot of different brands of garage door rollers out there, but the brand I did choose to go with was the DURA-LIFT. And these two models right here, the DURA-LIFT Titan, this is DURA-LIFT's top of the line model, and the ULTRA-LIFE MAX is their their second tier, their next step down. And I decided to go with these models in the DURA-LIFT brand because they checked all the boxes of what I was kind of looking for in a roller. Now, first off, both of these have a high quality 6200 ZZ bearing. It's a dual cage sealed bearing, and there's a picture of it right there. It has 8 roller bearings instead of ball bearings, and it's a low maintenance bearing. It should never have to be lubed or oiled or greased, and therefore shouldn't leak any oil into your track. So they should be a pretty clean, low maintenance bearing. The second reason is they come with nylon wheels. Now, these nylon wheels, the DURA-LIFT states that these are up to 75% quieter than the stock wheels in your garage door. I have really no way of measuring that other than just my ears, but I'm going to take their word for it, and I really can't imagine these nylon wheels being any louder than the stock stainless steel ball bearing wheels that are currently in my track. So I'm just going to go with that. Thirdly, they have a lifetime guarantee. Now, DURA-LIFT states if for the life of your roller, if you ever have a roller go bad or lock up or any problem whatsoever, you just take that roller, you send it to them, and they'll send you a roller free. So you shouldn't ever have to worry about your rollers ever again for the life of your rollers. And the last reason I went with DURA-LIFT is the consumer reviews. These were some of the most highly rated rollers when I was looking up customer reviews. So yeah, it all sounded good to me, and that's why I went with the DURA-LIFT, the Titan, and the ULTRA-LIFE MAX. Now, I'm going to point out that these are 4-inch shaft models. Sometimes, if you have a larger garage door with larger hinges, sometimes you'll have to order, I believe they come in 4 or 7-inch shafts. Okay. First off, let's just take a look at these Titans. And this is what they look like right here. Listen. That is very smooth. I can feel absolutely no resistance, no rattling or anything. It's very quiet. I'm spinning that wheel pretty fast. I don't know if you can hear that. And if I wiggle that wheel, it has very little play in that wheel. It's a very solid, durable feeling roller. Feels high quality. Flip that around, you'll see it looks very straight shafts, 90 degree. Just feels like a very good roller. And again, the same with these ULTRA-LIFE MAX. Now they have white wheels. Very quiet, no resistance whatsoever. No play at all. Feels very good. Now, as I said, these are 4-inch shafts, but I'm going to point out something real quick. If you look here, although they are listed as 4-inch shafts, the actual shaft length is 4 5/16 inches. And if you look down here, this has this little raised area. It's like a little shoulder. It's raised up just a little bit. That's a 1/2 inch wide shoulder. And this shaft right here is the only usable part that will actually, this is the only part of the shaft that will actually slide into your hinge. It will slide in up to this point. And the distance, the length of this straight usable shaft is actually 3 3/4 inches. If I can get that, I'll have to scoot that back. There we go. it'll come out to 3 3/4 inches. So I thought I'd point that out to some of you. It might make a difference in your hinges, and I just wanted to point that out so you could make a better decision based on that. Now, the next thing about these shafts, again, these are the Titans, and the reason they are considered the top of the line model is they have a black oxide coating on them. And what that is a corrosion resistant coating. It's for like if you live in a high moisture environment, you have a lot of problems with rust in your area, maybe you have a salty air environment. These are designed to fight corrosion a little better. Now, if you notice on here, if I can find a little spot right here. Now, when I ordered these, I wasn't sure if this was like a type of spray paint, just like a cheap spray paint coating that was going to scratch off easily, or some kind of a powder coating. Now, I can feel that bare spot, and I can feel the edge of that coating, and I am scraping really hard with my finger. Now, I am purposely trying to peel that coating back, and it is not flaking off. So rest assured, this is not just like a type of spray paint. This is actually like a baked on coating. It's very durable. If I had to compare it to something out there that you might have experience with, if you've ever owned a black mag flashlight, one of those big billy club flashlights like the police used to carry, this is very similar to the coating on that. So I just wanted to point that out. And another thing I want to point out about it is when I ordered these, it says it's triple coated, and I thought it might be a thick coating. I was worried about it. If you notice up here in your hinge sleeves, this is your stem slides in these sleeves. I was worried that if it was a really thick coating, it might kind of be too thick and might not slide into these hinge sleeves very freely. But as you'll see, no problem whatsoever. So if that's a concern of yours, it shouldn't be anymore, because I'm telling you right now, that thing just slides in and out, no problem. Lots of freedom of movement, not a problem whatsoever. Okay. Now we'll go down to the ULTRA-LIFE MAX. Now the coating on this one is kind of a gold-plated color. I don't know, it's real pretty. It's very smooth, very slick. I'm sure it has some corrosion-resistant properties to it too. I'm sure that's what it's for, is to fight corrosion a little bit. Probably not as good as the Titan, but again, it's very slick, very smooth. I don't see that you'd have a problem with this one either, over just a regular, metal shaft. Now let's talk about the wheels a little bit. When you order these are 2-inch wheels. I just have a standard 2-inch track, and these are the wheels that it requires, a 2-inch wheel. But I'm going to point out that these wheels are actually, let me put this up here, they're actually 1 13/16 diameter. They won't be quite 2 inches, but it shouldn't be a problem. And to give this a little better scale, give you a better idea how big these wheels are, if you have a quart of Castrol GTX sitting around with this cap on it, I found that if I place this cap and set this roller right down on top of it, that it is exactly, I won't sit on there really flat, but it is exactly the same size as the outer rim of this cap. So if you have one of these caps laying around and you want to compare it to the size of the rollers in your track to see if you think these wheels are going to be too big or too small, whatever, that'll give you a real good idea as to scale, something to compare it to, okay? Another thing about these wheels, let's pop this one off, it's a little easier to show, is the width of the wheel. Now, I don't have a caliper with me right now, but I do have a 7/16 inch wrench, and if I slide that on there, it perfectly slides on there, perfectly. Maybe just a hair under. It's hard to tell, but so these wheels are basically 7/16 inches wide. So I thought I'd point that out to you too. Now, if you look at these wheels, it's easier to tell on the black ones, but they look like a very hard plastic, okay? But they're not a plastic, they're a nylon. And as they say, they're supposed to be 75% quieter. Now, they're not mushy, they're not soft at all. They feel hard and firm. And to give you an idea what these compare to, the material they're made out of, if you've ever seen or ever had a pair of inline roller skates or a skateboard wheel, and you hear how they sound, that muffled sound they make going down the sidewalk. That's the material that these are made out of. So it's not gonna be a loud, it's gonna be sound, it's gonna be more of a muffled, think of it, like I said, a skateboard wheels, they're rolling down the sidewalk. That's the type of material that these are made out of. I popped the caps off, right here, of the dust caps. Each of these has a dust shield that pushes on the outside of it to seal those bearings from dust and dirt and grime. That one has a clear one. This one's red on the Titan model. And here they are popped off. And as you can see that this cap, it's just a clear, it looks like a clear plastic bottle cap. And it just presses on and fits down in this little channel that runs around the rim of this wheel. Okay. On the Titan model, it has these little legs. And they just press down into these little sections, these little slots here. Now, neither one of these caps actually snaps on. Just kind of spreads these little legs out and puts pressure and tension on them. And the tension's what holds them on. So they're real easy to peel off with your fingernails. I wouldn't say real easy, but you can take these off with your fingernails, they're not gonna break. But they don't snap in. They just press in, but I haven't seen any problem with them coming out on their own or like, you know, just coming loose. They look like they stay in there pretty firmly. And I'm also gonna point out a key thing. Comparing these two, when I ordered these online, it was hard to tell from the stock pictures just how far the caps stuck up from the wheel, but I could tell that they did stick up. So I ordered both of these sets to compare, and if you'll notice, the Titan model right here, the red cap is almost flush with the top of the wheel. It's very flat and almost flush, whereas, it's hard to tell with this camera at this angle, but the Ultra-Life Max cap actually sticks up a little taller than the Titan wheel, okay? Almost, so basically from what I can tell, it sticks up about twice as high as the wheel on the Titan. So I wanted to point that out too. And the one reason being, if you look over at my tracks, these mounting bolts inside the track, okay, stick up about 1/8 of an inch to 3/16 of an inch. So that's one reason I ordered two different sets, is I thought if one of these caps was too high and hanging up on those mounts, then I might have to switch to the other wheel. So that may be something you may need to look at and consider when you order these, just something to think about. Now, one important thing I want to point out is maybe you've ordered some of these before, or even if you haven't, there's something interesting that I discovered. Although all these are very smooth and very quiet when they spin, there was 3 in this box of the Titans that made a dragging noise. It sounded like the bearings were bad. If you could listen to hear this. Oops. I don't know if you can hear that, but it made me think, oh man, I ordered brand new, wheels, and the bearings are already bad in. It almost sounded like these 3 didn't get lube or oil or something, or the bearings were dragging or something. Well, I'm going to show you real quick. That's not a problem. There's nothing wrong with that bearing. This one I have them marked with tape, so I knew which ones they were. But if you look at this one, I peeled the cap off, and now it was just as loud or louder than that one. Now listen, nothing. Absolutely no noise, no drag, nothing whatsoever. So I thought that was curious. So I looked this cap over and I spun it over or flipped it over. And you see that little indentation, that little ring in the middle? Well, what that noise is, if you look, that cap is rubbing on this shaft. That shaft is a little too long. Either they didn't cut it off or grind it off enough, so that when that wheel spins, it's spinning that plastic dust shield, and it's rubbing against this shaft. And that's what's making that noise. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with your bearing, okay? So I wanted to point that out. Maybe some of you have bought some in the past, and you bought them and you took them back because you thought, you got a faulty set, had some, defective bearings. Most likely, it was just that cap rubbing on that shaft. Now, I had to spin it kind of fast to make that noise. But if you turn it kind of slow, you don't really hear it. So in your garage door, most likely you're not going to hear it because it's not going to be spinning that fast. And plus the sound of your garage door motor is probably going to drown it out anyway. So most likely it's not going to be a problem. So if you were thinking of sending these back, then you might as well just go ahead and use them because the chances are you're never going to hear it. So I wanted to point that out too. Now, one of the last things I wanted to point out, another reason that these Titans are considered their top of the line model over their Ultra-Life Max is that the Titans are rated for like 250,000 open close cycles on your garage door for a 190-pound door, whereas your Ultra-Life Max is only rated for about 200,000. And I thought it was really strange since they both have identical bearings, same type of shafts. Dust caps wouldn't affect that or anything. So I got to looking closer at them, and if you'll notice, on this white Ultra-Life wheel, it has this channel around here. Just an empty channel. Now on this one, on the Titan, it has these little slots with these little plastic dividers between the inner ring and the outer wheel. And I took a piece of paper and I stuck it down that slot and measured it, and then I did it on here on the Titan. And when I come to find out, they're both exactly the channels are exactly the same depth. So if we go over to this wheel, see that focus, and I line it up with that, you can notice that the bottom of that channel is meeting exactly halfway through the wheel. So what that's telling me is this channel runs and bottoms out where it meets the bottom half wheel, where these two halves meet and mold together. So what that tells me is basically the outer ring on this wheel is kind of hollow. And I think what makes the Titan a stronger wheel is these little dividers. You notice how they're molded between the inner ring and the outer wheel. So I think they support this outer ring, this outer half of wheel, whereas this one, it doesn't. So your inner half of your wheel is pretty much a solid inner half, pretty much a solid ring of wheel. But like I said, this outer half of ring on the Ultra is pretty much hollow. So I think these little dividers act as supports and braces all around this wheel. So it may not make much of a difference on a lighter door, but on a heavier door, I think maybe over time, the outer hollow section on this one, maybe this plastic may start to fold in or collapse. It's just my opinion. I don't know, but that's the only thing I could think of. So I just thought I'd point that out. And last but not least, I saw a video of a lady who had ordered 3 sets of these Ultra-Life Max from Walmart online. Now, 2 of them she could tell were actual DURA-LIFT products, but the 3rd set she could tell they were aftermarket fakes or copies. And I'm going to point out, because most likely you're going to have to order these online too. So I was going to point out the differences so that if you got some, you could tell if you had actual DURA-LIFT or aftermarket copies that you might want to send back. Now, the first thing she noticed when she pulled off the dust shields was on all the DURA-LIFT brands, actual true DURA-LIFT, it has this 6200ZZ stamped right on the bearing. As you can see, it's stamped on all their bearings on the outside, and if you flip up that little cover there, on the inside too. Well, on the aftermarket copies, there was no 6200ZZ stamped on there. So that was one way she could tell. The second way she could tell was on this DURA-LIFT, actual DURA-LIFT wheel, if you spin it, you notice the inner ring spins along with the wheel because it's one solid kind of a half piece molded together. On her wheels, the fakes, she would spin this wheel and the inner ring did not move. So it was 2 separate pieces. So that's the other way she could tell. And then she stood her rollers up like this, and her shafts on her fakes would lean either to the right or to the left, and they were really wobbly. You notice these don't have a lot of play, but hers had a lot of wiggle to it. So that was 3 ways she could tell. So I thought I'd point that out to you because, like I said, most likely if you want these, you're going to have to order them online, and it might be a quick way to tell whether you got an actual DURA-LIFT product. Okay? So yeah, that's about it, guys. There's going to be some other videos later. I'm going to do a before and after video. I'm going to record the sound of this garage door track with these original stainless wheels so you can hear the sound it makes. And then I'm also going to do a video recording it after I replace it with a nylon roller, so you can see for yourself if you can tell a difference in the sound that it makes, and decide for yourself if it's worth the upgrade. I also did a little short follow-up video where I ordered these from Home Depot and I wasn't too happy with the packaging, so you might want to check out that. It's just a short video talking about my Home Depot experience ordering these rollers through Home Depot online. And then I'm going to be doing several other videos. I'll probably do some videos on my Toyota Tundra, 2021 Tundra, talking about all the things I like and don't like about it, just various different things. So yeah, I hope you like this video, and I hope you found it helpful, at least to some of you out there. And if so, please hit that like button. And even better, you could subscribe to my channel. It doesn't cost you anything, and it'd help me out a lot. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and have a good one.